So, just to quickly gloss over this, get it done with, because it was mentioned last episode, and I just want to carry this over. I went to a dentist appointment last week, and last episode we talked about like people leaving Christmas trees up and shit like that.
Yes.
And at the dentist office, they still had a Christmas tree up, but they had redecorated it with like St. Patrick's Day decorations. It's like green top hats and like pot of gold ornaments and shit like that. Keep in mind, like when I went there, it was already like a week and a half since St. Patrick's Day, so he was already past due for that too.
And I'm assuming it's one of those like small, like plastic trees.
Yeah, I was just like in the corner.
It's no reason not to pull that down. I have not seen that. I haven't seen someone like repurpose the tree.
It makes me wonder if that's like they just leave it up all year and just repurpose it throughout the year rather than put the fucking tree away.
Like that's something you'd like read about from like an ancient culture. It's like, oh, like every home had the had the tree they decorate with for like each patron of the gods. But what I wanted to say is along that similar vein, not necessarily for St. Patrick's Day, but when we talked about the niche stores for the holidays, and I think the one we got hung up on was for Easter, to a degree.
To a degree. Talked about a few stores.
And on my way home, I was driving home and I saw a house that was decorated for Easter with like giant blow-up rabbits. Like they had their house set up like you'd see, like a tacky Christmas house decorated. And I have not seen that. I don't know who's selling giant inflatable rabbits for Easter, but if there's like an actual Easter store operating now, maybe I shouldn't be surprised.
I mean, either those ones that your neighbor has are either custom made or they just happen to be the only people who have ever bought Easter inflatables.
Who knows?
It's like my neighbor directly across the street has Easter stuff on their lawn, but it's really just like a sign on their fence that just says Happy Easter.
Yes.
They don't really have anything else.
Yeah, like you're like, what else is there? Like what we talked about last time. But I would never have thought of like blow up stuff. And granted, we might have talked about blow up stuff, like not of the doll variety, but of holiday variety. We might have talked about this on like one of the first benders, like somewhere between like 1 through 5. I feel like. Have we talked about the animosity I have towards like holiday blow up? I mean,
we never talked about that either on the show or off the show.
Okay, you'd probably know better than I. I'll take your word for it, but I've always thought that was just like the tackiest thing ever. Like people like who
blow up lawn ornaments.
Yeah, and it's one thing if you have a whole like decorated house, like you went all out, and like you maybe have like one big blow up, but there's usually if you have like a blow up on your lawn, that's like all you have, and you may even have just like several of them. I always thought it's like the worst thing.
My neighbor does that for Halloween. Just only inflatables on the lawn, and that's it.
Just like sucks. You're like letting everyone know that you're like a low rate
decorator.
Yeah.
And it sucks too because each one of them has their own pump that just constantly makes noise. Like Halloween, October, that's like a good time of the year to have your windows open usually because it's nice and cool, but not too cold,
Yes.
So you just get like ruined because the asshole neighbor has to have a fucking fan like pumping these things up at all times.
It's got 3 like air generators like
got like Abrams turbine engines outside.
Gas turbine. And those blow up dolls have been getting like more advanced too. Once again, still talking about holidays. Like, have you seen the helicopter ones? Where they actually have like moving
and
parts,
like talking.
Yeah. And every now and then I'll see something
actually move.
a little, shit up. Like a little bit. But probably the dumbest ones I've seen are like the thematic ones where it'll be like a baby Yoda or like a minion in like a Santa outfit. And those are just like, that's like one step lower.
You gotta have that brand recognition on your lawn.
Yeah, let everyone know that like not only are you like a horrible decorator, but you're also like an insufferable one too.
You're a fucking consumer.
The only way that someone like that could make life worse for their neighbors would be like to burn down their houses.
Yeah.
Like have it so like you have such like a horrible
start digging up your neighbor's pipes, like breaking them into with a pickaxe.
Like your wire setup for all these blow-ups is so bad that like it actually creates like a fire hazard somehow.
You directly link it to the electricity pole on your yard. Just start sapping the energy to the whole town.
Get a gun and kill your neighbors. You know that they're like shit talking you behind closed doors, so you gotta like, you're going like schizo in your house, like in your underwear, holding a gun.
Put a bomb in your car and put a cinder block on the gas and just drive it through their front door.
Take out the guy in front of you.
Build a nuclear bomb, nuclear bomb in your backyard.
Yeah, build a nuclear weapons program in your fucking backyard. Where everyone's distracted with your decorations. I mean,
they can't hear all like the drilling and shit that you're doing because the fucking gas turbine engine in your front yard is taking up all the noise space.
You know, that's like the subtlest blow-up decorator. But that's all I really have to say on that. Every now and then I always have to vent about people that do that. I mean, granted, like, our house isn't necessarily, you know, the most well-decorated thing either, but as long as it's not, like, tacky, that's all I care about. But
something I just thought of, because he kept bringing up the other inflatables.
Go ahead.
Do you think there's still a market for those?
For
I know
like sex dolls?
Yeah. Like the rubber inflatable ones. Because I know that you know, because we both know, how advanced sex dolls have gotten in recent times.
You're talking about like the cliche, like horrible one, like balloon
inflatable ones, like the one that Christian used.
Yeah, like honestly, when I think of like one of those, I think of just, you know, it's like made out of like it's made out of like the same texture as like a fucking balloon, and it has like that stupid oversized like mouth.
Like mouth, yeah.
Yeah. There can't be, like, the only market left would have to be one of like irony. I can't even imagine.
The real question is, who bought those things in the first place?
Desperate people from like the late 80s onwards.
I can't imagine that it was too comfortable to use.
I can't imagine either.
You ever put your cock up against the balloon?
Yeah, like whatever that material is. Like, you're talking about like it's inflatable, but just from like having like seen them, like I've never seen one in person. You know, I've never used one. I never will use one. But just how I've seen them, they have like hard looking edges. That can't be good.
And they have the same wrinkly texture as like the thick balloons that you can buy at like stores, the ones that usually have like something printed on them, like, you know, like happy birthday or whatever.
Yeah,
like that weird like metallic rubber, like the ones that like are kind of shiny. Like, it has the same texture as those, at least from what it looks like.
And you know,
because I also have never actually seen one or touched one in real life.
Just the idea that like somebody could get off on the idea of like grabbing those things' breasts. It's like, you know, I sure, you know, there's people out there that have like you know, fetishes for that kind of like texture. You know, there's like sick fuckers out there. But they'd have to be so few and far between. There's no way that's like a viable business today. Like it's all like now it's like go big or go home in terms of
Yeah,
sex dolls.
yeah, like, because once again, I can't even imagine who would have been buying them before, but now the sex dolls have gotten so advanced that there cannot be a market for these things.
Yeah, it'd be like going out of your way to buy like an iPhone 4, knowing full well that like
That'd be like
what we're up to
going out of
now.
your way to buy like a flip phone, like an
Yeah.
old school like LG flip phone.
But the saddest part is there's still like some merit to that, unlike that blow up doll.
Right, it'd be like going back to using a pager. How about that?
I'd say it'd be like going back to like two cans held together by shoestring. And then like it hardly works. And like you don't really want to do it outside of like the humor. They only appear in like comedies. Speaking of comedies, this was kind of like the major point I wanted to bring up. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced this too much. Maybe like I have. Have you noticed the sheer amount of people with lisps that are just taking over like video essay type YouTube channels?
I can't say that I have, but that's because I don't typically watch video essay channels. However, I can't even remember which one it was, but there was one that I watched maybe a few months ago that the wisp was so distracting that I could not finish a single video of that person. And I have no idea who it was or what the video was because it was so long ago. But I have noticed at least one instance of that.
It is everywhere. Like if they're talking about like a movie, a game, maybe they've done some kind of like stupid iceberg style video, I'd say maybe 6 times out of 10 they have a audible lisp. And I just don't understand like how that's happening. Like
Maybe there's a genetic link between having a speaking lisp and having a drive to make video essays.
Drive to like make people listen to it. Like I don't know if there's been some kind of like underground movement or something where it's like,
it's a psyop.
Yeah, like oh, you people have lisps, so there's that's no reason to get down. Show the world you can be a public speaker too. Like, okay, I'll do a video essay.
And the funny thing too is that like a lisp isn't like it's a thing that you'll have for your life, but it can be like negated. Like you can do training to minimize your lisp to a point where it doesn't like really come out that much. Like I've met people that have told me that they had lisps at one point and they no longer do because they corrected their own speech. Like you can train to get rid of it. So not only are these people who make these videos, shitbags because they're forcing people to listen to their lisp, but they're also horrible because they are refusing to fix the problem.
Yeah. And it's not even like something like Chills, like in this top 15 where like the whole joke is his voice. Like there's really
because that's not even his voice.
Yeah.
Like he does that on purpose, just I guess to fuck with people, which makes it funny.
Yes, but there's really nothing. What's the word? There's nothing good necessarily from here, and it detracts from everything. It makes it sound like
it's distracting, at least for me.
It's distracting.
Like if I hear someone with a lisp, that becomes the focus in my brain.
Yeah, and
like when we were in high school, there were teachers in our school that had lisp, and it would always take me out of the lesson when I heard it.
Yeah, and
it's like seeing someone with a big mole on their face. Like it just takes up your entire focus the second you notice it.
And not
like
only
an Austin
that,
Powers style.
And not only that, but there's like nothing. You can't sound professional with a lisp.
Yeah. There's a reason why there's ever been a president with a lisp.
No, or
You just
Really?
can't be taken seriously when you have a lisp.
I don't know if there's any like major public figures that have lisps. But shit. I almost had like a point to make. I mean, when you brought up the whole thing of like, the teachers having lisps, that reminded me of this one woman I had. I'm not gonna name names or go into it, but it was like a math class, and she had this like stupid, like, I don't even really call it like a tick, where she kept saying "all right, so" at the beginning of every sentence, and it got so bad that me and like this guy next to me, we like became like acquaintances in that class purely through our shared noting down of how many times she did it. We'd tally it in our notebooks.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What?
No, because the same thing happened to me. I mean, you remember Sean, right?
Yes.
We had chemistry together, and it was like maybe 2 months into that school year was when I noticed that our chemistry teacher would say "okay" at the start of every sentence, several times throughout the sentence, and at the end of every sentence. It was like her bridge word, her start word, and her end word for every fucking sentence. And I noticed it mid-class, and I was just like stunned, and I kind of like started laughing. And then Sean looked over at me, he was like, what are you laughing at? And I was like, I'll tell you after, because I can't fucking do this right now. So I ended up telling him. And then the next class, like the teacher starts, and I'm like, you gotta listen to it this time. And maybe like 2 minutes into class, he looks over at me with his eyes wide, and he goes like, holy shit. Like, she keeps fucking saying it. Like, you were completely fucking right. And then after that day, for every lesson we had, I would tally how many times she said okay. And I had no idea that you had the same fucking experience.
Yes. It was for "all right, so." And I think the highest I had was, if I recall, I think it was in the 80s.
Really? I think the highest... I'm trying to remember. I don't think I have that notebook, so I can't...
Yeah, I think mine's gone too.
But I think the highest I got was maybe in like the 50s or 60s.
Maybe that's just like another like underground thing. Get teachers and professors with like voice tics to them. I don't know what else you'd even call that.
Trying to see how long they can get away with it before a student notices.
And like students that start tallying them are like they're like marked for like government service or something. Yeah. Get to join like fucking spec ops.
Join the FBI
because you're like an insane pattern recognizer. They need you to like they need you to fucking crack ciphers from like like other countries.
They need you to be able to predict like who's most likely to commit a crime. It's like fucking Minority Report.
It's like not even like even need shit like that anymore. Like a real person. Isn't that like all computerized now?
Yeah.
It's like wasting their time. But I guess it is government, so it wouldn't be out of the question.
It's literally their job to waste time and taxpayer money. So,
isn't that a beautiful thing? Just make all the money you want, still tax people, get away with it.
Yeah.
Of course, we can only detract so much from the government over the peacefulness of a podcast. So.
It kind of reminds me of something recent. I recently received a notice in the mail from the DMV that I have to renew the registration on my car.
Yeah, me too. I got the same thing.
I got it in the mail because it's just a fucking bill, and it's $127. I'm looking at it right now.
Yep.
To fucking renew the registration. I'm looking at that, and I'm like, what part of the registration process actually requires this $127? Like, realistically, nothing. What are they gonna do with this money that they aren't already doing? Like, like maybe it's the manpower hours of whoever's gonna have to file this paperwork at the DMV, but they're already getting paid from the taxes that they make off of me.
Yes.
So where is this $127 going? Like, it's just a fucking scam. It's 100% a scam because
Yes.
there's no other alternative. So they can charge whatever the fuck they want. It's horseshit. Like, why do I need to pay that to renew the fact that I own this car?
They want your money. That's it.
It's horseshit.
Although that does bring a good question. Like, I would want to know, because honestly, just like how the government actually receives and handles its money is, very particular and very stupid specific. And a lot of people think that the government can just take money out of like a magic pool and kind of just spend it however the fuck they want. But that's just not how like bureaucracy works. And you can only spend money allocated to very particular things, which is why every year they gotta like sign a stupid fucking like omnibus bill or whatever to like see where the money's gonna go. But I would like to know, like, physically where that like $120 is going. Like, if you're like a fly on the wall, you're like a miniature camera on that on that like stack of bills and see what actually happened to it. I think that would be a very interesting like documentary if someone had the balls to pull it off.
And I imagine it just goes to like the state treasury, but it's not like I'm paying with straight up dollar bills. I'm just gonna be like putting in my fucking card information on the fucking website.
Yes. But I guess technically speaking, maybe you could just like, show up there in person, like hand them a fucking hundo. Maybe you could just give them physical bills.
But I'm pretty sure the DMV these days still requires like appointments.
Yeah.
Which is complete ass.
And we all know for a fact that those things are, made just to piss you off anyway.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, what a job to design such an apparatus. Like, wouldn't that be like our ideal job? I mean, we've talked we've like hyped ourselves up a lot about being perfect fucking like,
time
wasters, directors, just producers of any sort.
Someone who can piss someone off.
Yeah. So if we had that job, I mean, obviously it's never going to be that overt, but the idea of being in a position where you can set up the entire apparatus from fucking bottom up on how to annoy about 100 people at a time to the highest efficiency
on every single day. Probably 100 people, at least 100 people an hour, probably more.
How do you think
single day?
How do you think we could beat the DMV's efficiency? How would you make that worse? Because I might have an idea, but if you have anything.
I mean, is this still strictly like a DMV, like how to like make the DMV worse?
Well, what are you thinking about?
Or are we just gonna set up like a new institution?
I was thinking of just how to like fuck over like make the DMV itself worse, but if you have an idea for like a whole new institution, I'm all ears.
I think the only way to make the DMV worse would just be to completely like cut probably its funding by like half. So that way they had to do massive layoffs so that there's even less people at the DMV office, which means less people can be helped.
Now, that's actually something that what I was thinking of that kind of had like a counter opinion to while I was thinking about it, is I figured maybe like to make things worse, you replace all of the, the people with just like automated like DMV fucking machines, because nobody likes dealing with those. And it would be a pain in the ass because most people aren't like technologically literate. And on top of that, they'd have to like learn a totally new system. But thinking about it, you can't really get as angry with a machine as you could with like someone in your face.
Yeah.
And I think the air, like the aura of the DMV of having people yelling at another human being like does something psychologically to you as like an observer. And I don't think that would be like the correct way to make it worse. Maybe it could be a rare case where they really did peak, and we wouldn't really be able to do much but like polish the turd. I do not know. Maybe like adding in a bad smell.
Yeah, as if they already don't smell like shit. How about adding in maybe 2 more steps of a manual review and verification of all actions? So even when you go to the DMV to get something done, it still takes an extra like 4 days for everything to happen because it has to be manually looked at by another human being and approved, no matter what the process is.
That's pretty bad.
So it's already a time waster because you go there to do it, you put in your shit, then you have to wait a few days, and then you have a chance that you have to go back.
Yeah. I just thought of something, but it actually requires a whole nother question. What would be the least comfortable chair to sit on? Like one that's like readily available. I'm not talking like anything custom made.
Those like metal folding chairs.
You think a metal folding chair?
It's probably my go-to.
I was trying to think of like any of like the worst like public like plastic type chairs I've ever had to sit on.
What about like a folding camping like stool?
That would be pretty bad. Like no back support.
Yeah.
The only problem is that I wouldn't be able to fly because there would like have to be adequate sitting for like elderly and disabled. So I'm like trying to work within the confines of what's actually like allowed, but making things worse. Like that's the real trick. I do think the smell would be a good one though. I'm not sure how you'd like entertain that. Maybe like a dead rat in the vents.
A burst sewage pipe.
Like left an untreated sewage pipe left like exposed. That would be fucking a lawsuit and a half. Like people would actually be like getting sick. Actually, I got a good one. How about like a very loud horn every time a new number's called?
How about like several speakers placed around that just play white noise, very subtly?
That would be pretty, like a low frequency hum, and then another one plays a high frequency hum.
One of them plays like a dog whistle, so like the few people that can actually hear that are just fucks.
And then on top of all that, there's a couple that whisper random numbers. Completely unrelated to the ones being called. So you're like a 70-year-old woman. You're like you're trying to like focus. Like these fucking noises are driving you crazy, and then you hear like a 3, 4, 5, 7, and then you like and you get up and you like get online, get to the end like, oh, we didn't call that. I heard that. I'm sorry, that wasn't called. Look up at the top, ma'am.
But what if there was like AI generated voice of like a little girl that randomly picks like names out of a list and it just says names?
It's like a little girl.
Yeah, just to like freak people the fuck out.
That'd be pretty good. Fucking noises. That'd make some like advanced shit.
Yeah.
Like we're getting like full stereo sound, like subwoofer. Like people are really getting scared of the DMV
Full
now.
Psychological warfare. Might as well just have it play the fucking like the ghost calls from Vietnam.
But you know, look what's happened. Like now it almost sounds kind of fun. Like it's so stupid that you'd actually want to go there to see it for yourself. And like it's like this is the third time now I've mentioned it, even when we destroy we create.
Yeah.
But the DMV is perfect because there's not one single ounce of horribleness that's actually like funny. Like maybe not directly. I mean, you can like laugh at how bad the system is, but like you don't want to actually deal with it. But if you're in this room and you're looking at people panic, like you're in on the joke. That'd be fucking hysterical.
Yeah, it might be fun to work at the DMV, but it might still not be fun to actually go there.
No. But at least, like I said, if you were in on the joke, it would probably be a little bit entertaining. You'd have to be you have to be on your game, though. Make sure you don't fall for, like, the little girl.
Alright, so let's make it worse again. Have a vent that just pumps out common, histamines. Like allergens.
That's a pretty dickhead move.
Yeah.
So great. People are, like, sneezing shit. Like, breaking out in hives.
Feel like shit, your nose is congested, you're sneezing, running. It's like getting harder to breathe the second you walk through the door.
I mean, I'm assuming DMV places are still abiding by like some form of like COVID mandate, like at least in like the basest terms. So if they were doing that, that'd give them like a perfect reason to like. That'd actually be a pretty good thing to fuck people over, because then they'd have to go back to making it so like every other chair is unavailable.
Yeah.
So you're reducing the amount of people that are allowed in there by half. Those people
And
have
the
to wait.
mask is required to walk through the door.
Yes. And people, like most people are online outside, and it's like cold.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good. Along with like the noises, the numbers, the fucking numbers station that's playing. And by the horn, I imagined, like, you ever hear one of those stock, like, old-timey, like, prison horns?
No.
Like, I don't even think, like, I'd want to, like, replicate it with my mouth right now, but I don't know if I could. Like those, like those ones.
It sounds like a train horn, like what you just did.
Think of like a higher pitched train horn. That's kind of how they sound. And it's really stupid because like I actually know of a video that has one in it, and it's a fucking Pilot Red Sun video. By any chance, do you remember that video of like the giant ball guy in prison?
No.
Fuck. Because it plays that exact sound in there, and I think that would like make a lot of old people very jumpy. They'd probably leave out of anger if they heard that once. About like no pens, you gotta bring your own. They treat it like
will not be provided. If you don't have anything to like write down, like they can't help you.
Yeah, they treat it like a fucking like a school fine or like an AP exam. If you didn't bring like a pencil or pen, you're like disqualified. You have to like restart. You gotta set up a whole new appointment. Because then they'd be like, it's like, sir, like now you're wasting our time. You're gonna have to set up a new appointment.
Yeah, and you have to pay them.
Oh yeah. That's pretty bad. But you know what? At the beginning, you kind of you posed the question of like creating a whole new institution, just like fuck over people. But, like, what would that even be? I know, like, obviously that's the question, but is there a service that would require a whole new institution to be made?
The first thing that came to mind, and this could be something that could happen relatively soon, would be like Department of, I don't even know how you would word it, Department of Sewage, something like that, that regulates how many times you can flush in a day.
Ooh.
And like if you start to get too high, you start to have to like put in your request to actually flush your toilet.
That is pretty bad.
Considering that more and more places are like, you know, limiting water usage and shit like that, especially like California. Like I can see California instituting something like this.
Yeah, like
Department of Sewage. You have to get approved to flush your toilet.
And of course you got to do it in person. Like even though every single thing on Earth has moved to like having online options, online representatives, you have to be there in person. And like,
I can't even imagine. Like you, there would be two things. Either you'd try to get the approval preemptively, so you could just like shit and then flush, or you would like take a shit and then you'd like put in the request, and you have to leave the shit in the toilet until you get approved.
And you know, I'd imagine that'd be like pretty rough. I don't know if it would ever get to this point, but if they had like a whole department towards it, I think they would start like sending out government mandated toilets. Like meet like a standard.
Either that or the government would start putting restrictions on toilet manufacturers. Ooh. And like forcing them to incorporate this like government monitor technology in their toilets.
That'd be pretty bad. Honestly, if every toilet had like the flushing power of like a school toilet, no shit would go down. We would have like those soft flushes.
It's like how the government like requires like backdoors into different operating systems for computer companies.
Or like spying on my asshole.
Yeah, they need backdoors on your fucking toilets.
It's the old tired idea of having the hidden camera like in the bowl pointed up at your balls.
Yeah, it's like like companies started putting cameras on like on TV screens and like microphones on like fridges and shit.
Oh, yeah.
they subtly install a fucking camera in your toilet
Ooh,
bowl.
and you've obviously seen the thing before where it's like that patent that never said thankfully it's not got it anywhere right now, like the patent for like the voice TV thing where like in order to end a commercial you have to like get up and like shout the commercials like the name.
Yeah.
That what if like that could apply to like the government toilets too, like it actually plays audio of an ad.
You have to salute and like say like "Hail Biden" in order to flush your turd.
I wasn't even thinking like a political loyalist thing. I was thinking of like like an advertisement.
When the government needs like sponsorships to keep running.
Well, it's just because like advertisers would naturally like see that as a moment where you're trapped. You're gonna have to like listen through to an ad, and sure you can probably like cover your ears or something, but you're gonna have to know the phrase to shout at in order to like get the thing to flush. If they really want to be dickheads, they can have it splash until you do it. Like you get a 5-second grace period, then after that it starts to splash the dookie up on your ass cheeks.
Like there's motors in the fucking toilet bowl that like create vibrations that create waves. It's like those big Olympic pools where that like can create waves so they can like test boats in them.
And I got an even scarier one. Have you ever seen, this is the only way I can even think of really describe this. Have you ever seen those like proposed kind of like pneumatic generators that use like the actual natural flow of like sewage water to like power turbines?
No.
I know it's a very specific thing I'm asking of you, but I figured I'd try.
No. Never heard of that.
It's like a concept where basically you'd have these kind of like they're basically just like more advanced fucking water wheels, and you put them inside of sewer tunnels so that the moving water like turns them and powers electricity. But I was imagining like using that kind of like pneumatic technology, and let's say you're fucking holding out there, it's 20 seconds, you're getting your ass splashed, you're not saying the advertisement, it gives a beeping and then a warning that it will start using the pipes to redirect other people's turds up into your bowl. I think that'd be fucking scary. Because you're familiar, like nobody on earth likes going to a toilet, opening it up and seeing like someone else's turd in it. Like it's just like with someone's farts, like your own farts, even in like the worst ones ever, they can't bother you the same way as someone else's farts. And the same thing goes for poops. But if someone else's fucking disgusting, like sloppy chalupa turd came up into your bowl, you'd have like such a visceral reaction.
Problems.
You'd be fucking screaming McDonald's.
The toilet bowls also have heaters in them. So if you continue to not comply, it starts to like warm up the shit water.
Oh my god. Like, how much is each of these toilets per unit? Like, this is a killing. The government has like
your government mandated toilet. They have like a complete monopoly.
The government has like $2 trillion unaccounted for and like unrealized losses from like the economy right now. They're printing out like 100 billion a fucking day, and then they do this.
I feel like the easy solution to this, as like if you didn't want this in your house, if you're like anti-government, don't want your monitoring shit toilet, just get like you just may have your own human-sized like litter box.
Yeah, that is a good fucking thing going on there, because just like during COVID, I would all boil down to people that support like vax mandates and like anti-vaxxers, like that whole like counterculture kind of shit. If it happened like this, there'd be a whole counterculture, people saying like it's time to build outhouses in our fucking backyards. Yeah. And you'd know if somebody was like an anti-government toilet. I don't know like what you'd call these people yet, but like, if they have like a Shrek outhouse built in their fucking yard,
piss in the sink and shit in your fucking litter box. So that way the government doesn't send turds up into your toilet.
Or up into your bathtub once they get to that.
Ugh.
I don't think I'd ever feel comfortable taking a bath ever again if like someone else's turd came floating up through the fucking drain. Like never get back in that. It's like soiled.
they make the pipes pressurized so they can shoot the shit out of the bowl.
Yeah, if you try to...
It can start launching turds out of your toilet.
Yeah, like if you try to block it, it'll like notice it, and it'll send like an approximated like pressurized shot straight up just to stop the blockage. The dumbest part too is that in perfect government fashion, this is probably wasting more water than your average toilet.
Yeah.
But the whole joke of it is that it's one of those toilets where it has like the two little metal buttons on top, like one if you have like a small pee, and the other when you have like a poop. So it'll like, you've seen those ones before, right?
Yeah.
That's how it'd work, except it'd be permanently stuck on like the little pee button option. So nothing would go down. And I guess
you don't say your commercial name, then it's gonna start splashing water out of the fucking bowl and onto your floor.
And then we don't want to talk about the few dissenters that press on afterwards. Especially those that live in like poorer areas. Like the food supply is way unhealthier. Floating, disgusting fucking orange sloppy shits. Like your trailer park neighbor. Although, speaking of California and like stupid departments and whatnot, I heard that apparently they are, in terms of like cars and this kind of shit, they're making it so you have to take like a smog test for like your car's emissions. And like,
fuck?
Yeah.
How does that work?
I don't know. Apparently, like, they check to see if like the car is up to their standard on like emissions. And if it fails, I guess like you can't get it fucking registered.
So basically, if you just have an old car, you're fucked.
I'm assuming that's the case, yeah.
I mean, on one side, I kind of like that idea just for the simple fact that like I hate when I see trucks that just have like black smoke coming out of the fucking exhaust pipes.
Fucking the spirit of the Industrial Revolution lives on.
Yeah.
Wherever they drive, there's like species that are adapting to the soot, like the fucking moths. Honestly, it's like really funny to me. Like fucking like smoke-churning people.
Fucking like coal miners, like they got like the fucking like the coal blackface on.
Full
so they're fucking soot. like 1960s fucking pickup truck.
You're bound to live only like 30 years from the inhalation.
So on one side, I kind of like that idea for that, but on the other side, it's the fucking government, so you know that they're just gonna go completely hog wild with it once they have that fucking power.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's just a greater scheme to just press towards, like, electric cars only.
Electric cars.
Yeah, which, like, California's already struggling with, like, their electricity grid, so
yeah.
It's just like these two fucking government groups that are fighting against each other, not realizing that it's going to lead to disaster. They should have completely spec'd into this toilet thing while they had the chance.
Yeah. They're going to lose all their goodwill. They won't be able to sneak this one in.
Oh, yeah, because, like, anyone who was completely fucking, like, mortified by, like, how COVID went down, like, oh, you know, I got like, the fucking masks making me insane. Imagine your neighbor's turd floating right up your fucking bowl, getting splashed on your ass. Like, you'd probably think, like, the fucking end is here. Like, all of a sudden, like, Men in Black show up with your fucking toilet. They're like... like, oh, is this the shitter residence? You know, they come in. Yeah. Like, oh, I wish I had my new shitter. And they just, like, rip out the other toilet with brute strength, plant this one down.
And they hand you a bill for fucking $365. Your government mandated toilet that you have to pay for. You gotta pay for.
Like, isn't this paid with taxes? It is now. And, like, take like the fucking like $500 from your wallet. It just to be a dickhead, like one of the guys like rushes over and like flushes a bunch, so like it activates the fucking advertisement thing. They both run out. It's like, what did you just do? You have 10 seconds to comply. Fucking exfiltrating neighbor's dookie. Since she's like not sitting on it, it just fires it right out and hits the wall. And imagine it would keep doing that like every 10 seconds. And then every time you don't do it since then, it would like half the time. It's like 5. like 3.5 or like whatever.
You're just machine gun launching fucking turds at the wall.
Yeah. And like the only way to really stop it is you'd have to have like an organized resistance, kind of like a organized bank run, where you have to have like a bunch of people in town all refuse to do it, so that way the fucking system, like the sewage system, gets overloaded with like all a bunch of dukes that are all trying to get to like each other's houses at once, and they get caught in the middle, and like it causes like a burst pipe.
It causes it all to like coagulate.
Yeah.
Like dookie cement in the fucking sewer system.
And like that becomes like a major form of dissent, and they're sending out like fucking cops in riot gear to like put down these people that are pulling this off, because like it's like, you just caused fucking $200 million worth of like plumbing damage to this town. Like, oh, sorry.
The neighborhood starts having like flushing quotas. Like the whole neighborhood gets punished if the entire neighborhood flushes too many times.
That's some like Half-Life 2 shit.
Yeah.
It's like the whole fucking block is punished.
Welcome to City 17.
Dr. Breen's talking about like the toilet situation. You may have noticed the advertisements from our benefactors, and on what might happen if you fail to repeat that. Save us all.
The only thing I could think of that could make this situation even just a little bit worse is if the government had special ones only for like multi-story houses. So that way, if you continue to not make the demands of the toilet, it would like they would purposefully sabotage and burst a pipe on like the upper levels. So that way you start getting like ceiling damage on like the lower levels.
Around staying leaking on the ceiling. That is bad. Like trying to imagine what, because obviously like, these people, it would come down like an even more divided, like a bigger division in America than ever before. I'm trying to imagine what they would call the people that are refusing to say the advertisements. I'm trying to think of like what the buzzword would be. Like we got to, like this is so far ahead of the game. We're gonna be like fucking Nostradamus when this shit's attempted in like one state.
Like a loyalist versus patriot, like type of thing, like from the fucking Revolutionary War.
Yeah, okay, I can already imagine like the article saying like, you know, like, come on, these babies can't even say one single word to flush the toilet. The first thing that's coming to mind.
Maybe if you complied, you wouldn't have a problem with your fucking flooded bathroom.
Yeah, maybe if you screamed out McDonald's, there wouldn't be your neighbor's turd splattered on your fucking asshole, buddy.
Yeah.
So immature. Even though this like wouldn't even make any sense, the only word I'm thinking of would be like anti-poopers.
Anti-flushers.
The anti-flushers. The government has to send like a contingent of the fucking National Guard when they see that an entire area is like not reaching like even close to their quota, and they find that they all have like a communal shit pit.
They converted the local park into a shit pit.
Yeah. Like there'd be a return of speakeasies, but there'd be shit easies. Completely hidden.
So they have unlicensed toilets.
Yeah, like in the back of the bar. That would be insane. Shit easies. It's like, you know, like the agents come in, like, where'd you get an unlicensed shitter in here? God, no, and they like bring him over to like, you know, this like fake ass toilet. Like an automated, like it's got like an Amazon Alexa hidden behind it, like making noises. It's like, don't worry, boys. This is a free shitting county. Everyone like holds up their mugs, like wearing their fucking like 30s regalia, like, hooray! The Great Shitpression. just considering that the downfall of modern society is plain to see, and it's only getting like more dumb as like the worse it gets. I would not be surprised if anything if something even close to this came about. Like, obviously, this is what the government wants in like any regard. More control over the people, especially getting into the household.
Control. Just normalizing control.
Yeah, normalizing control. And it's like the roughest one because they got you right where they want you.
Yeah.
They're making money
they
off
have
you.
like one of your most essential biological functions under lock and key.
Yeah, and
it's undoubtedly the most filthy biological function, so it's the one you want to get rid of the most.
You want to get rid of it the most, and it has the most horrible like retribution if you fail to comply. Because that's the thing. I don't even know if there would be, because it'd be easy to say like, oh, I mean, you could just apply this to like a refrigerator or something. Have it's like you can't even open it until like you say like an advertisement, and I guess that's fair. But that would be
just get like an ice box.
Yeah, like
there's a workaround to that.
Yeah, that's like a lot easier to escape from. Kind of like a toilet. Like, you're gonna have to shit somewhere. Like, building an outhouse is a lot of fucking work. Having to like clean out the shit tray every week is gonna be a pain in the ass, and you have to get rid of that somewhere too.
Well, it'll probably go in the same place you put like cat shit. Just put it in the garbage. But I don't think you'd be cleaning out the human-sized litter tray every week. You'd probably be cleaning it out every fucking day. Like, humans have a lot bigger shits than your average cat.
I guess that is assuming that, you would be using the kitty litter thing, but I guess that would become the natural progression, because the way I'd see it is that, let's say like this horrible government shitter society comes about. People are, you got the few people that are shitting like somewhere and then throwing it in the garbage. You have some people that are like, they actually went through the effort of building an outhouse and like collecting their shit in a tray and then throwing that out. Like, every fucking garbage bag is gonna smell like shit. Fucking garbage men are gonna quit in record numbers.
Just automate it.
You could automate it. That'd be very tricky, though.
Automate it away.
It's very tricky, though, because like that requires... You'd require like perfect automated vehicles. Like, that's something we can't even like. We don't even have.
You could
yet.
probably still have the driver, and then just have like an automated like garbage bin grabber.
Yeah, but I feel like just with the varying shapes and differing terrains and different colors, that's like a lot for a government like fucking garbage collecting program to work with. It's gonna make a lot of mistakes, and that's gonna end with shit all over the ground. And then you're gonna end with like, then you're gonna get calls from people, calling like their state, their local fucking municipality, saying like, there's fucking shit all over the road. So to remedy this, I guess, they'd start sending people like, fucking National Guard would say like, there's fucking shit all over the place here. People aren't using the toilets, so let's, straighten them out. So in order to hide it, people all start using the litter box method, where they're covering their shit in like the litter box pellets, like masking the smell.
And then to counteract that, the government, they do two things. They put a limitation on how much litter you can buy, how much cat litter you can buy, and they also introduce a cat owner license.
Oh,
so if you don't have the cat owner license, you're not legally allowed to buy cat litter.
You have to provide photo verification of your cat along with a government-mandated leash that has its name on it in a form of a QR code. If you can't even provide that, like, the fucking, like, store, like, the guy working the cashier, like, can't even, like, help you. Like, he's got to slide, he has to bring over a key, like you're trying to buy a fucking
yeah,
toy.
The cat litter's locked behind a fucking case.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to buy shit in, like, a poor area. Like, he has to come out with a key, open up the fucking kitty litter behind glass. Like it's ammo.
Gets a video game at a Walmart.
Oh my god. Thing just went from bad to worse.
Yeah.
Like what do you do? Do people just start faking like their cats like they tried to do with like the vaccination cards? Like that'd be a little like that's a little too like most people don't want to commit to that level of like hiding. What would be the next move? Do people just like move on to like a new form of like hiding their turds? Are they burying them like a fucking cat?
People start like propagating how to make your own cat litter at home.
Oh yeah, it's like spreading on TikTok.
Yeah, start like passing around flyers at the town meetup.
Damn.
Or at the town like shithole.
It's so stupid because like in this world they can organize things to this degree, but they can't organize like an actual armed
like
resistance.
A resistance. Yeah.
It's like a fucking cat and
So
mouse.
you have like your fucking Half-Life Alex people start like derailing trains. Like...
You're like, where's the fucking resistance? They just keep finding new ways to hide their turns.
I feel like it'd be one of those things that like the average person like be like, oh, like, you know, like that's not enough to like pick up a gun and like, you know, do something about. The government's not trying to kill me, they're just trying to control where and when I shit.
They just want me to fucking comply to their consumerist agenda and control.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, I did buy McDonald's after I thought about it, but what's it to you? You're shouting at your TV, you're shouting in the bowl. You got your... You feel like... you got your fucking cat, like the cat, like, MV. All comes full circle. Yeah, that is a dystopia that most people couldn't even dream of. Like, if George Orwell saw that, he would have been down on his knees, like, begging us to not, like...
write for him.
Yeah, like, to have that written.
He'd be trying to buy the idea off of us.
He'd be moved to tears from how horrible that world is. And, like, outside of just the humor of it being like fecal related, that is like a fucking scary world. Because like, really, what comes next? I would imagine it would have to be like some kind of like almost like a Roomba type thing that would just like follow you all day. Like that's, I think, the end all of like anti-privacy or government control in the home would have to be some kind of like moving like Roomba type thing that they call like a safety buddy. They'd have to have like some fun name like that. Like everyone has to have one, and they do it to verify that you're like a real person and not like a fucking like AI when you operate or do anything. I don't even know. It's like watching your shit and piss. It's like verifying in conjunction with the toilets to make sure you're not like doing anything out of the ordinary.
To make sure you're not using the litter box.
Make sure you're not using the litter box.
I feel like in this world, the government's going this far just to get you to do fucking ad reads for them. Like, why wouldn't they... I guess this is also based off of, like, patented technology that's not used. Like, I feel like they would just go straight to the next step once people stop using the toilet and just have that fucking technology where they beam fucking advertisements into your brain so you dream about it.
True. We just don't know, like, how far along that technology is. And also, it's going to take them a decent amount of time to set up the necessary, like, social engineering. Yeah, the infrastructure, the social engineering to, like, get it, like, into the public's head is, like, a good thing. Or, honestly, would they even acknowledge it? I think they would, like, if they had it in a way so that they were able to beam it to, like, a large crew. Like, let's just say, like, they had, like, a test bed, like, onto New York City. And it affected... like half the population. It got like what's the population of like New York City? Like fucking 9 million people.
Something like that.
Like pulling that out of my ass.
20 million. I think
20
it's closer
million
to, I think it's
people?
20 million.
All right, look, now I gotta like break ranks here and look this up. How many people live in New York City? Yeah, it's
Maybe
not.
It's 13.
It's 8.4 million.
That's all right.
20 million. That's probably like the population of like Mexico City. Okay, so let's say it affected like 4 million people. You know, like not perfect, but like it happened. It's enough where people are talking about it like with their neighbors. Like, oh, I had this commercial. I saw like Taco Bell. Like, oh, I saw Taco Bell. And now people are talking about it online. The government would just like never admit to it. They would just say it's some kind of like mass hysteria.
Let's say it's because you've been shouting your advertisement at the toilet. It's seeped into your subconscious, so now you're dreaming about it.
Yeah, and
nothing to do with them.
in like perfect government like style with like just how they fucking love to fuck with you. Commercials, even though this wouldn't even necessarily be the government, but in conjunction with like Taco Bell and all these other companies are putting out these commercials that almost seem to have like a hyperfixation on like people like maybe ordering food late and like sleeping. It's like, don't go to bed on an empty stomach. Like, you'll get it with Taco Bell. Like, really just feeding into this. There'd be no reason.
Slogan that they haven't used in like over a decade.
Yeah, they like bring it back. They even bring back the dog. They like dig it up.
Yeah.
It's like dried body taken from the catacombs of Taco Bell headquarters.
They replaced the London like Big Ben bell with the Taco Bell.
The Taco Bell.
Like the ding.
That'd be really dumb because as far as I know, I think the Big Ben bell is like not operational right now. Like, it won't be like for a few years. That would be insane if like it came back like that. People would be pissed. But just in the same way, I think putting them into the dreams, you could probably, I mean, because obviously there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to fucking suck government dick no matter what. But that would probably have some of the largest pushback, I'd imagine.
The dream one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you started getting advertisements beamed directly into your dreams, so like that's what you were dreaming about, I think there would be fucking gallows in the streets. And people will be picking up guns and killing advertisers.
and the scariest part is that people would be like fucking going like crazy too, because it's like not enough that they're beaming it into your head, but you're going to be thinking about that and you might start naturally dreaming about other advertisements too.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to talk about that, with people, and it's going to create this whole web of like disinformation. People are going to go nuts.
That would literally be the point where like you would have to go to Wall Street and
yeah.
yeah, I think you already know what I'm about to say, but
that is frightening.
Yeah, like there would be dead people, and lots of we're talking dead people, lots of them.
I'd rather the Cheetahman climb out of my TV.
Yeah. Than see my neighbor's turd crawl out of my fucking toilet.
Yes. Or have dreams about like the dumbest things. The worst part too is that it wouldn't even be like anything. Like, sure, there'd be like top advertisers paying the government to like beam shit like McDonald's and Taco Bell and stuff like that. But there'd be a good chance that you'd get a bunch of like nonsense garbage you wouldn't want to see either. Like, the moment you start getting those like YouTube like fucking Chinese game ads into your brain where there's like no regulation, it's over.
What about just getting like your local car dealership commercials beamed into your fucking brain?
Yeah, and we're thinking.
What if you got the Cheetahman commercial beamed into your brain?
I mean, that's gonna be like hysterical. If I dream about that tonight, I'm gonna like think twice. But it's also kind of funny. Like, we're thinking so small fries on this because if they have the power to beam stuff into your brain, like advertisements is only gonna be like one thing. They're gonna be beaming like shit to make you like lay down your arms and like have trust in the government, or maybe like fear resistance. They're gonna do everything possible to like make you a fucking like slave.
Yeah, like you have nightmares of like total government supremacy, so that you're too scared to do anything.
Or on top of that, if they really want to be fucking evil, they pull like a that old tired like blue beam idea, and they like beam God into your head, like saying like pro government things.
Beam Obama into your head.
Can you imagine if like several million Americans all simultaneously got like a dream of Jesus Christ in their brains, talking them that like the government like is actually like secretly on their side? Can you imagine what that would fucking do to this country? Like, I don't even think like nobody, like, it's like unprecedented. I don't think anybody could predict what that would do to people. That really
I feel like it would only affect like how many Americans are truly devout.
I mean, the U.S. is extremely devout, and I know we have the highest percentage of people that like believe in angels and stuff like that. So it would be like a good match, especially like in the deep south. But that's all you need. Just like sow dissent in one part of the country, like people are getting fucking scared.
Just have to hope that there's like one fucking like Edward Snowden type
Yeah, like a
dude
whistleblower.
that can, provide evidence and like actual proof that that was a government operation.
Oh, yeah, and that's like literally the only hope people would have to like get some closure on this, is if somebody spilled the beans. And like maybe someone actually found one of the machines. I don't know like how it would operate. I don't know if it would be something beamed by a satellite or maybe like some kind of tower.
Be a 5G tower.
It's a 5G the fucking 5G people are right after all. Oh, that is so awful. That is a honest to God fucking plot. Like putting the image of God in the people's heads to restore their faith in the government. That is a horror movie. I don't think I can even like think of anything worse than like it's sad to say, but I guess I'd take the neighbor's shit coming up my drain and like have that world.
At the Bender Hour, we got dystopias. They are fucking scary. Yeah, we're talking advertisements and lots of them.
You're going to see the face of your lord.
Yes, but that's another story.
That's another story. Where are the cheetah men when we need them?
They're living the good life. They've been out of the public eye for 30, 40 years at this point.
I think they went to Little St. James. Like the list comes out and you see like Hercules, Ares, and Apollo. It's like
These fictional characters went to Little St. James. It's not even like the guy who like created Action 52.
no.
It's just the characters from Action 52. What if Saddam Hussein was on there? And Boob Lady and the Crotch Goblin?
Saddam was here? Saddam Hussein?
Can you imagine a picture came out from Little St. James with that graffiti on like the wall of a building? That wasn't Action 52. That was
Dark Castle.
Dark Castle.
Oh man. Asian making another appearance. Fuck. I mean, after all, AVGN is heavily tied to biblical prophecy now, so.
It's true.
Although that's sadly not something we've touched upon in a Bender yet. I don't think.
Spirit of Christ flowed through him as he made those Bible game episodes.
And the thing is, I know there's like more episodes where he makes like biblical references that aren't of like the Bible games or the fucking Sodom and Gammorrah bit that we always do. It's just I can't remember them off the top of my head. Otherwise, we'd have like maybe another hour of material just off of like the religious video game nerd escapades from off Bender.
I feel like that's steeped in like years now of bits that it would be impossible to recount it all.
Yeah.
Or even really make it funny, because we'd have to like explain the joke. Like, how do you explain that original one
Of like the
of the fucking Sodom and Gomorrah joke? Like, you have to explain the bit from fucking Godzilla first.
I mean, it's not
You have to
that far of a
explain the
stretch.
monsters,
It's-
and you have to explain why we found that funny in the first place.
You just have to like, it's just like a phonetic thing. It's just their names. You wouldn't have to like explain the monsters necessarily. It's the whole thing of like Magra and Gazora sounds like Sodom and Gomorrah. Somewhat. So we'd need like the super nerd to take down the toilet government. Comes out in his full suit.
With Super Mecha Death Christ.
Come on, government. You come in my house and you want me to repeat the same two advertisers on the toilet? McDonald's or Taco Bell. Another thing I just realized. Imagine how bad that would be for like people with accents, like different languages. That's
Or
something.
like it can't recognize what you're saying.
Yeah, because I know that actually is a problem that a lot of like Amazon Alexas and like Siris and shit deal with today. So having a toilet that would like recognize every single accent, like language variation, because obviously there's gonna be people that can't speak English that would be getting these things. That would be such a complication.
Like the people who can't speak English wouldn't even know what to do because like unless they program them with like other languages.
I think they would at least get like one in Spanish. That's typically how it goes. Because like when you're on, if you're ever on like a fucking train, they usually replay like the messages in Spanish. So they'd have that, but still. It's like, habla McDonald's. McDonald's. Try again.
Like it's like a turd hits the wall.
Dude, imagine if it was like a massive one, like being squeezed through.
All I'm saying is I would be a menace to my neighbors in that world.
Ugh.
I'd be just dropping huge shit every day.
Well, that's assuming your neighbors are gonna be like anti-toilet dissenters. They could be proud fucking advertisers, like screamers. Like 3 in the morning, and hear someone like yell out like fucking like I don't even know. Like Verizon, like someone shouts out Verizon, like wakes you up. Be a huge noise complaint problem. And like expose shit to the air, like that's like people are gonna smell it too.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't even know. So anything left to add, or can we like? Sure, you think we should wrap this up as another short one? It was a pretty jam. It was a pretty jam-packed one.